Hello everyone. I've got a 2009 Dodge Journey here, my brother-in-law's car. We're in Saskatchewan and it's December 30th today, 2017, and 36 below zero Celsius. And this car has a history of blowing the power steering line, return power steering line, from underneath. I'll show you. I'll just grab the light quickly and we'll go down and look. The line comes off on the return to the back to the tank, and you can see where it terminates. It comes like a high pressure line, and then it terminates, which is really dumb, and it goes into a lower pressure line, and then it travels up in. You can see the old line probably. If you've done this, you probably know what I'm talking about. So you can see where the line would go normally, but I've changed it. This is what this video is about, is changing this. So this has happened several times now. As soon as it gets to about minus 30 Celsius, this car will pop that line. And I've replaced, I guess it's been 4 times now. The last time I put a 200 PSI hose on a day ago, and it popped that, no problem at all. So what it looks like to me, I'll grab the light again. What Chrysler did here, and I'm not going to waste my friggin' time going underneath the car and finding out where they went with these hoses. I really don't care at this point in time, but what it looks like is they ran, you see this line right here? This line is the one that returns. It goes down to the front, which I believe is somewhere under the front near the radiator bottom. It's a cooler for the power steering. It makes sense, I guess. These power steering pumps are hooked right to the engine and they do get hot. So I guess Chrysler, I suppose, this is my theory, is that they've decided they're going to cool this fluid down before it returns to the tank. So then it goes down here, and then it comes back up through here, this line, and then, bear with me. Oh, dropped my light. I better grab that or you're not going to see anything. Not good for the light, but whatever. And then you'll see it came back out of one of the lines, and you can't really see it, it's just a mess of hoses. Comes back up and out this one and into the tank directly. There's a screen in the tank. I clean the screen is clean. So I've disconnected that hose, and I've disconnected the piece where I showed you underneath. It's an open end, and I don't care. They can leave it open because there's a recall on this, and Chrysler can do whatever they want with it. So I'm fed up with it. So what I've done, I've just put a new hose in, and it bypasses all that metal stuff, and it's not really great lighting, and it just drops down to where the high pressure line, return line ends, and then this lighter hose is on. I hope this makes sense to people watching this. If not, you can ask me questions. I'm more than willing to help you with it if you're having trouble. And if you live anywhere in Western Canada, prairie lands, parts of US like North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, even places further like Utah and Idaho, northern Utah and Idaho, you may have had the same issue. So this is what I've done to fix it. And I've already gone to, before people ask, I've already tried the full synthetic, not a cheap product, dumped that on the ground. So I do have the full synthetic back in it again to give it every chance I can in this cold temperature. And I'm just going to let my brother-in-law drive it for a while and see how it works out. This line is not a permanent fix because there's a lot of places where it can chafe and whatnot. And if it doesn't pop the line in these temperatures, like tomorrow or in the next couple of days, I will reroute the line somewhere where there's less chance of it chafing. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm really open with this stuff, and I just was online trying to find out what was causing this, and the only thing that I can come up with, a lot of people talked about the fluids and that kind of thing, and using full synthetic. Well, I did that and it didn't work. But in this climate, in the wintertime, you do not need a cooler hooked to to really anything other than the engine, but you don't need a cooler hooked to your power steering system. In the summer, yes, by all means, because these do get warm. It gets very hot here in the summer. It gets up to plus 40 degrees Celsius. So I can understand if you're towing, well, I don't know, towing so much of the power steering, but it has value, but really no value whatsoever in extreme cold. So I guess, yeah, it's a few people in the world that have to deal with it, opposed to quite a few that don't, and that's the way it works. So I hope this video helps someone try to figure out what to do temporarily, if not just temporarily, to get through to the spring. Because I read a lot about these Dodge Journeys and they pop that line. And what I believe is happening is that the oil is coming from the return, from the power steering rack, hitting this cooler system and freezing the oil. And then it won't get back to the tank because it creates a blockage. And like I said, the last hose I put on was a 200 PSI hose, and it popped a hole right in that. And I can show you the hose. And it always breaks on the same stretch of hose. So this hose right here was a 200 PSI hose, and it was only a temporary. It wasn't going to be a full time because it's not a hydraulic hose. It's airline, but it's still 200 PSI. And I'll show you right there, 3/8 200 PSI, and it popped that one day. Just one day of use. He drove it for 15 minutes, parked it, and then come out and started it up, and it popped that line, split it wide open. 200 PSI. Well, there's only one thing to my mind that can cause 200 PSI on a return line is there's a blockage, and I believe that oil froze in that line. So hopefully this helps, and thank you very much. Bye.